Congressman Matt Gaetz, along with Robert Charles. Congressman Gaetz, your sense of Rex Tillerson, how he did there, what the message was, how difficult as well this may have even been for him.
Sure, and he reminded us a little bit what the world was like when he was first nominated by the president to serve as Secretary of State. ISIS was on the march, now they're on the run. China wasn't doing anything to help with North Korea, now they're part of our maximum pressure campaign, and North Korea went from not having a willingness to have any discussion about denuclearization to at least leaning forward into some engagement in the world. And so I think it's quite a deal of accomplishment for just a little over a year, and I'm really excited about where Mike Pompeo can take the baton and continue to advance the America First agenda. But Rex Tillerson, the consummate businessman, still wanting to make sure we have a smooth transition and an effective and efficient use of the State Department to accomplish America's objectives.
Charles Robert, he seemed a little out of breath. I mean, I don't know if he had been running to the podium or if he was a little stressed, a little nervous, but when he was delivering that speech, certainly in the beginning of it, he was struggling to get enough air, it seemed as though at first.
Well, the State Department's a big place with a lot of staircases, so maybe he was just coming there up a staircase. You know, I think Rex Tillerson is a thoughtful, far-sighted patriot, and you noticed what he did. He talked about continuity of operations, pride of service. He made a hat tip, which is, I think, very important to the Defense Department, making it clear that both the State Department personnel, Foreign Service officers and others, and those who serve in the Pentagon serve on the same wavelength. They're serving America. So in the grand scheme of things, you know, he did what I would expect him to do. He was gracious. He was thoughtful. He may have had this speech in a drawer and pulled it out and you know, wasn't exactly ready yet, but he did a great job, and he saluted smartly for his president. And that's, you know, anybody who serves in public office, when you're serving at the federal level by appointment, you have to be ready to do anything that's required of you in service of the Constitution. And if the president says, you know what, I'm ready to turn the page now, I'd like to have Mike Pompeo come and lead the next charge, you salute smartly and say, thank you, sir. And that's exactly what he did. So I think a lot of dignity there. It might have hit him as a surprise, but in the end, I think it's not so unexpected.
Yes, but, you know, it's been talked about, right, at length, Congressman Gaetz. I mean, we have heard over and over again all these rumors about his departure. And so, you know, I don't know. I mean, he had to have heard them, too. He was asked directly about them. So do you think he was blindsided in any way, or is this simply, you know, it's taken its natural course, and perhaps the president needed to make sure he had a good succession plan in place before actually parting ways with Tillerson?
You know, Trish, if we weren't at the moment in time where the president was preparing for a sit-down meeting with the leader of North Korea, I think you could make the argument that it was out of the blue and maybe it was unexpected. But here, I think this is just sort of a natural place to change the leadership team, because we're going into a new phase of our engagement with North Korea, and it would seem appropriate to bring in a new team to be able to manage the new phase with a different set of core competencies that are going to be required. It's also important to note that Rex Tillerson was an outsider when he was first picked. For Secretary of State.
I'm going to jump in because Donald Trump is arriving, the President of the United States, on Air Force One right now, arriving in San Diego. I'm still here with Congressman Gaetz and Robert Charles, and you'll recall, of course, the reason he is in San Diego is to look at some prototypes for the border wall that he once built, that was such a platform in his campaign and continues to be so. Is certainly resonating with his base. We anticipate that there's going to be some protests on both sides there in California, as there always is, right, in California. They love to protest. But there are many, of course, that don't believe that this wall is what the country needs, and many that believe it is, in fact, exactly what we need, a camp that I know you're in, Congressman Gaetz.
Absolutely, and we're likely to take a vote by the end of the week in Congress to fund the government for the next 2 years, and a major part of that funding will be funding for the wall. So as a construction guy, the president wants to go out and see the quality of the product that we're going to be able to go and resource. I think it's important also to recognize that we've got amazing technologies that will assist in the building of the physical structure to ensure that we've got a secure border. Just yesterday, I was receiving testimony about the extent to which radical Islamic extremists understand understand and leverage the fact that we've got a porous border to try to infiltrate our country. And so I think, again, this is the president fulfilling a campaign promise, putting the interest of the American people first, and then ensuring that if we spend the money, we actually have an effective and efficient outcome so that we don't have porous borders going forward.
Well, he's working at a lightning speed, once again, getting back to that entrepreneur style that he has. Thank you so much. It's good to have you both here today. Robert, Charles, thank you. Very interesting and spot-on analysis.